Hello, my name is Tim, my company is Sports and Touring, and we are Jaguar F-Type specialists. We are breaking some new ground with this car, not because it's a V6S, 380 horsepower, supercharged, 3-litre engine, 8-speed ZF gearbox driving the rear axle, tremendous driver engagement, really brilliant handling, and overall an incredibly pleasant vehicle to have in your life. Not because it's got an amazing array of options on it, including panoramic roof, heated steering wheel, heated seats, and so forth, but because of the price point. This is an extremely affordable V6S F-Type, and the reason for that is that it is slightly higher mileage than we have stocked before. That might lead you to question, are we compromising on quality? And no, we're not, and we will never do that, because our objective is to offer only the very, very best vehicles presented in the best possible way. This car has great service history. Everything on it is functioning perfectly correctly. It drives brilliantly. You would never be able to tell from driving it the mileage recorded on the odometer. But what it does is make the F-Type V6S accessible to someone with a budget which doesn't stretch as far as it might have done in the past. Let's take a look around. There it is, the S badge that tells you that this is the more powerful of the V6 variants of the F-Type. Arguably the Goldilocks car. It's not too much, it's not too little, but in the minds of many drivers, and I certainly couldn't disagree with them, this is the F-Type that is just right. More than enough power without too much weight at the front, without ever feeling in any sense that there is too much available under the throttle, as occasionally you might in a V8. All of the F-Types, of course, look tremendous. They have the most brilliant lines, the result of inspired design and very clever refinement. And the detail as you walk around an F-Type as well, from the badging to those beautiful shiny chrome exhaust tips, the lights and the way that they flow into the lines of the bodywork, and the detail, for example, the beautiful chrome window surrounds and side vents, all add up to a very alluring package. And then looking at the quality of this car, well, the mileage might suggest that we'd find a number of blemishes here and there, evidence of the fact that it has travelled a greater distance than F-Types we've retailed previously have. But in fact, no. It stands very proudly in excellent condition, and with very few signs indeed that it isn't a much newer and much lower mileage car. It's clearly been cared for. It's been stored, I guess, indoors most of its life. Certainly the last owner had it undercover. It's been serviced regularly and correctly, and it is going to be a great joy for its next owner. Let's take a look inside. The car's supplied, of course, with 2 remote key fobs and the owner's book pack. And pressing the button on the fob, we can see the power fold mirrors deploy into position and the door handles pop out as well, so that we can open the door and take a look inside. And again, inside the car, there are hardly any signs at all of this car's age or mileage. The door card is in splendid order. The scuff plate is amazingly good. And the seats, these beautiful leather seats, look really fine, with no evidence, no blemishing, no evidence of wear on the side bolster and side of the seat bolster, as you might expect. Sitting down into the Jaguar, and we're in a beautiful environment. A mix of technology and art. Graceful flowing lines, for example, on the handle there between the driver's compartment and the passenger's area. Very good ergonomics. Everything on an F-Type works as it should. Let's take a look around. So between the headrests, we've got a useful cubby hole there. Under the armrest there in the middle, we've got a USB socket, an auxiliary socket for the stereo, and a 12-volt power supply as well. And I note that the little plastic cover is still on the 12-volt socket cover. We've got a twin cup holder there, And then to explore the centre console, as we always do, we'll start the car up, noting, of course, that we've got the start-stop button there in Ignis bronze, and that's echoed as well with the flappy paddles on the steering wheel, also in Ignis, which is another extra cost option. Pressing the button, and we'll see the little flying display on the instrument panel as it comes to life, and then the centre air vent rises up into position. Switches, we've got here the Eco Stop Start selector, we've got the manual spoiler deployment switch, very important to put the spoiler up before you wash the car, electronic parking brake with hill start assist, the traction control on off, and the switched active sports exhaust button, which opens those valves that increase the exhaust note. Those valves, by the way, working perfectly correctly on this car. We always inspect that very carefully. We've got a great team of people who install new valves if that is required. Driving mode selector switch, where we go from normal driving mode into dynamic. When we do that, the instrument binnacle turns red and we get a message there that says dynamic mode confirmed. And that sets the car up in terms of throttle and gearbox mapping, suspension and so forth for a sportier driving style. Back to the driving mode switch, and we go back into normal mode and then through into rain, ice and snow mode, which you can again see confirmed there on the binnacle. That calms the car down. For a rear-wheel drive car with wide tyres, it makes it much more drivable on slippery roads in the winter, for example, when it's snowy and icy. We'll go back to normal driving mode and take a look at the shift stick. This beautiful bit of design falls so gracefully into the hand. There's a little button on the front which we use to enable the stick and move it into drive. Once we're in drive, we can go across into sports gearbox, and in that position we can shift using the shift stick up and down if you wish to. I personally choose to use the flappy paddles there on the steering wheel. It keeps my hands where they need to be while I'm manoeuvring. Back over to the centre console, and next we come to the climate control section, where we've got the auto and air conditioning buttons, recirc button, the electrically heated front windscreen, another extra cost option, along with heated seats in this car, and they're very effective on the F-Type at keeping you warm in the winter when you're sitting in these leather seats. We have also, by the way, heated steering wheel there. The button is on the steering wheel itself, and that makes a great change in cold weather. Back over here to the centre console, and we have the infotainment screen, this big screen with the selector buttons around the outside. We're on the home screen at the moment. We can go to the right hand, the second home screen, and see we've got in-control apps. Variable ambient lighting is another option on this car. We can change the colour of the lighting inside the car to suit our mood. Back to the home screen, back to the second home screen, and we also have dynamic eye. Now that means that if we're in dynamic driving mode, which I can select there, we can now either use the factory setup or my setup and have the engine in dynamic or normal, likewise steering, gear shift, suspension and so forth. Also accessible here, we've got the stopwatch, the live G meter and the pedal tracker with the graph which shows. I'm just going to press the brake pedal a little harder and then come off it, and we can have a look at a graph of the last 2 minutes activity there. If you're going to take the car on track, perhaps with an instructor, to get some tutoring in how to maneuver and handle the car, this is very useful for your instructor to illustrate points about your driving style. Back to the home screen, and we can see we have the media selection there. If I turn that on for a moment, you'll see that we have FM radio along with DAB, AM, Bluetooth audio and auxiliary are all the options available to us there. Going to the climate screen, we can direct the airflow as we need to. The park button enables the parking sensors if we're driving forwards into a parking bay. Obviously they would normally turn on only when we go into reverse, but you can have them on as you maneuver into that parking position just by tapping the button. Here we've got two more means of accessing the infotainment selection. We've got Bluetooth telephony, very fully featured, very clear, easy to use, with a button on the steering wheel as well, by the way. And then we've got the satellite navigation, which is easy to use. The display is clear and helpful. It's very functional, and the database is great as well. It's a good sat-nav system. Over on the steering wheel then, on the left-hand side, we've got the infotainment controls, Bluetooth telephony, as I say. Here we've got the automatic headlamps on the left-hand stalk, and on the right side, under your right thumb, we've got the speed limiter and cruise control and the heated steering wheel switch, and there the rain-sensitive wipers as well. It's a beautiful cockpit, made even more so by the huge panoramic roof above us, which lets the sunlight flood in, or if it gets a little too warm, you can just pull the screen across and shut the light out for a cooler experience in the summer. Again, everything in here is in really stunning order. There are no marks, no blemishes to remark upon. The steering wheel itself has obviously been kept clean, and I dare say the leather has been treated and fed to keep it smooth and supple. It feels great and is in stunning order. Let's switch the engine off and take a look in the boot. Many sports cars compromise on boot space for design considerations, but the F-Type does remarkably well. Over 300 litres of room in this boot, including the extra little cubby hole underneath here. It's an unusual shape, of course, so you do need to pack soft-sided bags rather than hard-sided suitcases. You can, in fact, get a bespoke luggage kit for the F-Type, which is a great solution if you're going to be on touring holidays in your car. It gets the maximum space in the most efficient manner, and of course looks very stylish as well as you walk into your hotel. Again, everything in fabulous order. I should mention, if you're into fishing or golf, by the way, the boot extends right out to the sides behind the rear wheel arches. That's how you get your fishing rods or golf clubs in. And again, everything in here in beautiful order. No stains, no blemishes, no marks to suggest that this car has been in any sense abused. A real testament to a series of owners who've obviously looked after this car very carefully. I've just locked the car again in order to show you the two-stage unlocking. So with the first button push, the mirrors pop out and the driver's door unlocks, but for safety and security's sake, you need a second button push in order to unlock the passenger side door. And having done that, we can look into the cabin here and see first that the door card is, I dare say, perfect. Likewise, the scuff plate is pretty well unmarked. And the rest of the interior, the dashboard, the centre console, and this beautiful heated leather seat, all in very good order indeed. I would dare say that this seat has been sat in very few times. Again, an F-Type in really fine condition. Under the bonnet, and there is, well, yes, it's a plastic cover, but under there is the supercharger, and under that is the V6 engine producing 380 horsepower, driving this F-Type from 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds, and on to a top speed which is artificially limited at 171 miles per hour. And that is no empty claim. If you found yourself on the Autobahn, it is perfectly possible, provided you don't mind finding a suitable stretch of road to achieve that velocity. But this car is not about those figures. It's about the engagement. It's about the fabulous handling, a result of all of that power, the delivery of that power through the brilliant gearbox and the electronic limited slip differential, which you get on the V6S. Things like the torque vectoring by braking, which adds to the handling and make it so crisp. And the brilliant exhaust note, of course, through that wonderful exhaust system and with those valves which give you that throatier experience when you so wish it. Again, under the bonnet here, you can see that everything is in very fine order. There is no sign of anything amiss whatsoever. It's clean and correct. And again, the service history for this vehicle speaks volumes, as does the fact that it has flown through our inspections and is such a pleasure to drive. So thank you very much indeed for watching. It's been a great pleasure to show you this beautiful F-Type. We are Sports and Touring. We're just outside Andover in Hampshire, open 7 days a week by appointment only. You're very welcome to email, telephone or WhatsApp us if you have any inquiries, or if you'd like to see this car in person or by video call. We can send you a link to our Google Drive. That's an online folder with higher resolution photos, which you can zoom in on, and PDF copies of important documents like the motor check report and the service history. If you've got a car to dispose of on your buying journey, we'll give you frank and honest advice about the best way to achieve the maximum value with the minimum inconvenience. And if you'd like to chat about finance, we can do that as well. We're authorised and regulated by the FCA, and we work with a really excellent broker. Please do take a few moments to read our reviews on Auto Trader. I'm very proud indeed of how our previous customers speak about us. And I'll close by saying thank you very much again for watching. We look forward to hearing from you very soon. And if you wish, please do like and subscribe to us here on YouTube.